Imagine a family of four, found lifeless inside their grand manor, and nearly 3 decades later, a forgotten roll of film surfaces, revealing haunting images that change everything. Tonight, we uncover the dark secret of the Holloway family at Ravenshollow Manor. Why does every story of horror begin with a house? There's something about a place, about walls that have seen too much, about windows that stare back at you like eyes in the night. Ravenshollow Manor was no ordinary home. Nestled deep in the English countryside, far away from the noise of the world, it stood tall, a Gothic monument of stone and shadow. In the 1960s, the Holloway family called it their pride, their legacy, their proof of wealth. But in truth, it was the beginning of their doom. From a distance, the manor looked majestic, arched windows, sprawling grounds, and gardens trimmed to perfection. Yet those who lived nearby whispered a different story. They spoke of flickering lights when no one was awake, of hollow screams echoing across the fields at midnight, of a house that seemed alive, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. Children dared each other to run past its gates, while adults avoided looking at it altogether. Because deep down, they all felt the same thing. Ravenshollow Manor wasn't just built on land. It was built on secrets. Psychologists today describe something called place memory. It's the theory that trauma lingers in spaces, that a house can soak up emotions, tragedies, and pain like what absorbs water. And when people walk through those spaces, they don't just see walls and ceilings, they feel everything that happened there. The manor wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was a graveyard of emotions, a silent witness to what was about to unfold. But here's the chilling thought. Was it the Holloways who cursed the manor with their secrets, or did the manor itself curse the Holloways? Because if a house can indeed hold on to the energy of its darkest moments, then Ravenshollow Manor wasn't a home at all. It was a prison, waiting for its victims to walk inside. So I'll ask you, do you believe a house can hold on to the energy of its darkest moments? Or is it all just a projection of human fear? A perfect family, or was it just a mask? At the center of Ravenshollow Manor lived the Holloways, the family everyone admired. Charles Holloway, a man of charm and wealth, worked as a respected banker. His wife, Margaret, was the epitome of grace, hosting lavish dinners that made the townsfolk whisper with envy. And then there were their 2 children, blonde-haired, well-dressed, and always smiling in photographs. To the world, they were the golden family, the ones who had it all. But as history has shown us time and time again, perfection is often a mask, and masks are meant to crack. Behind closed doors, things looked very different. Letters found decades later painted a far darker picture. Charles, the banker who seemed so in control, was drowning in financial troubles, debts piling up, risky investments turning to dust. Margaret, the perfect hostess, was entangled in whispers of secret affairs, looking for warmth outside the cold walls of her marriage. And the children? They lived in the shadow of a family that demanded perfection at all costs. Sociologists explain this as the facade of high society. Families like the Holloways often cared less about happiness and more about appearances. Their wealth wasn't just about comfort. It was about control. Their smiles weren't signs of joy. They were shields, protecting them from the town's judgment. But facades, no matter how carefully built, can't hold forever. And when the cracks begin to show, they don't just shatter the image, they shatter lives. Think of it this way. A family built on appearances is like a mansion built on sand. The moment the foundation shifts, even slightly, the entire structure collapses. The Holloways weren't immune. Their pride, their lies, their silence, all of it was a recipe for tragedy. And Ravenshollow Manor wasn't just a stage where they performed their perfect act. It became the very place where the act would end. So I'll ask you this. When it comes to family honor, do appearances matter more than truth? Or is it better to let the cracks show before the entire house falls apart? What really happened inside those locked doors? The year was 1973. A storm raged across the English countryside, winds howling against the walls of Ravenshollow Manor like an omen. By morning, silence fell over the estate. But inside, the Holloway family lay dead. Charles, Margaret, and their 2 children murdered within the very walls they call home. No sign of forced entry. No shattered glass. No broken locks. Just 4 bodies and a mystery that has haunted the town ever since. Police were quick to call a home invasion gone wrong. It was an easy answer, the kind that calms a terrified town. But locals didn't believe it. They whispered, how could intruders storm a house without breaking in? And why, of all nights, would the Holloways leave their doors unlocked in the middle of the storm? The evidence pointed in another direction, something darker, something closer to home. Forensic experts years later began noticing details that never made sense. The dining table was set for dinner. Plates polished, glasses filled, silverware lined up in perfect order. But not a single bite had been taken, as if the family was interrupted at the very moment they were about to eat. Then there was Margaret's body, her hand clutching a key so tightly it left deep imprints in her skin. Was it the key to safety or the key to their doom? And the strangest part? The entire house was locked from the inside. No footprints leading out, no broken window to crawl through. Whoever killed the Holloways either vanished into thin air or never left the manor at all. Psychologists call these haunting details, clues that don't just suggest crime, but unravel a mind with fear, because it forces us to ask, if not a stranger, then who? A friend? A relative? Or perhaps, was it something not human at all? So imagine this. You wake one morning and your neighbor's house is found exactly like this. Locked untouched, for lives ended in silence. Would you suspect murder or something far more sinister? What if the evidence was always there, hidden in plain sight? The year was 2000. Ravenshollow Manor had been abandoned for decades, its windows boarded up, its halls left to rot. But when a contractor was hired to renovate the estate, he stumbled upon something no one expected. In the dusty attic, behind crumbling wood and cobwebs, lay a sealed metal box. Inside, a camera, several rolls of film, and photographs that had never seen the light of day. When the film was finally developed, what appeared shocked investigators and chilled the town to its core. The first images were innocent enough, family snapshots. The Holloways gathered at the dining table moments before their tragic end. Margaret pouring wine, Charles adjusting his tie, the children smiling faintly. But then came the details no one could explain. In photo after photo, blurred faces seemed to linger in the windows. Faces that weren't supposed to be there. And in the very last row, one image stood apart. Behind the Holloway family, standing in the dim corner of the dining room, was a tall, shadowy figure. Its form was indistinct, its face impossible to identify. And yet, it was there, captured forever on film. Paranormal investigators were quick to call it proof of the supernatural. They argued that Ravenshollow wasn't just a scene of a murder, it was the breeding ground of something otherworldly. But criminologists saw it differently. They insisted the shadowy figure wasn't a ghost at all, but the very person responsible for the murders, accidentally caught on camera just before the killings took place. The photographs raised more questions than they answered. If the figure was a killer, why was the case never solved? And if it was a human at all, then what had the Holloways invited into their home on that stormy night? This discovery turned Ravenshollow from a local tragedy into a legend, a place where evidence and myth collide, where science and the supernatural battle for answers. So I'll leave you with this. If you found photographs like these, would you trust the science of criminology, or would you believe in the supernatural? Why does this story still haunt us? Decades have passed since the Holloway family was found lifeless inside Ravenshollow Manor. Yet the house still stands, abandoned, decaying, a skeleton of brick and stone swallowed by ivy and silence. But silence does not mean peace. To this day, locals claim they see lights flickering behind the cracked windows, as if someone or something still walks the halls at night. Some swear they've heard voices carried by the wind, faint laughter echoing through empty rooms. The manor may be crumbling, but its shadow is stronger than ever. The Holloway murders remain unsolved. No confession, no clear suspect, no justice. Just questions. And then the photographs, unearthed 27 years later, added fuel to the fire. To some, they are evidence of a crime staged too carefully to solve. To others, they are proof of a presence beyond human comprehension. Either way, the Holloway tragedy refuses to die. Psychologists have a word for this fascination: Thanatorism, the human obsession with places tied to death. We are drawn to these dark sites, not because they comfort us, but because they confront us. Standing before Ravenshollow Manor, you don't just see broken glass and rotting wood. You see a mirror of fear itself. It forces you to ask, if horror can happen to the perfect family in the safety of their own home, could it also happen to me? And that is why people still drive out to countryside, park their cars on a muddy road, and stare at the ruins of Ravenshollow. Some go searching for answers. Most leave with more questions. Because Ravenshollow Manor is no longer just a crime scene. It is a legend, a warning, a place where fact and myth intertwine so tightly that no one can untangle them. So let me ask you, would you dare spend one night inside Ravenshollow Manor, knowing the Holloways never walked out alive? The Holloway family story is not just about murder. It's about silence, secrets, and the shadows that refuse to fade. A family once called the Golden Ones ended not in triumph, but in tragedy. Their manor, once a proud estate, became a tombstone of unanswered questions. And for 27 long years, their story lay buried, hidden in dust, decay, and silence. But silence never lasts. The photographs pulled from that attic box forced the world to remember what many wanted to forget. Each frame wasn't just an image. It was a frozen scream, a captured moment where time itself seemed to hold its breath. Were these photographs evidence of a killer who walked free? Or were they something far darker, a glimpse into the kind of presence no human justice could ever touch? That's the question that haunts Ravenshollow Manor even today. Because when you stand outside those rotting walls, it isn't just a house you're looking at. It's a wound that never healed. Psychologists call it collective trauma, the way a single unsolved story can echo across generations. The Holloways are gone, but their shadows live on, stitched into the very bricks of their home. And now I turn to you. These photographs, do they reveal the truth of what happened that stormy night in 1973, or do they only deepen the mystery? Do you see them as hard evidence, or just another layer of fear designed to keep us guessing forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story isn't just mine to tell. It's ours to question. And if this tale unsettled you, know this. There are countless others still buried in the dark, waiting to be unearthed. So subscribe, because next time we'll step into another story that was never meant to be told. Another silence broken. Another shadow revealed. Another history that refuses to stay hidden. Until then, remember the Holloways. Remember Ravenshollow. And ask yourself one final question. Do secrets ever truly die, or do they just wait in the dark until we're ready to see them?